Alright, welcome to SoFlo TV again, everybody. It's your host with the most, and here is some update on immigration. Things just took a serious turn. But before we get into the serious information, let's first say that one good thing might have happened because people in New York City, immigrants in New York City of all types, from all walks and backgrounds, are now able to get a legal driver's license. This is a double-edged sword because in you stepping out of hiding to get your legal driver's license means you're now documented, which means you will have to have an address and they will be able to find where you live, so you can no longer be in hiding, right? Alright, let's get that one out the way. And now let's talk about the president's speech on the 13th, where the president said that he's promising the arrest of millions of illegal aliens starting next week. Yes. So starting next week, he is promising to arrest millions of illegal aliens. Now here's the funny thing. I just got finished listening to a reputable immigration attorney. And there was nothing in what that immigration attorney said that made me think that this is impossible and he is not going to do it. All that immigration attorney said mostly was make sure you have a contingency plan. Make sure you have a plan for your family. For instance, if you go off to work in the morning and you are picked up at work, coming home from work, make sure someone will be there to take care of your children. Make sure you sign no documents without an attorney, and make sure you are working with an attorney, because it's been proven that those who work with an attorney are more likely to be successful at their immigration process than those who don't. She also said that you should just remember that if you are here illegally, it does not matter if you have paperwork in the works or you don't have paperwork in the works. If you have paperwork in the works, you could still be swept up in the whole push to arrest as many and deport as many as possible. Now, let me say a few things before I read exactly what the president said and tell you exactly where this is heading. So, first of all, people are saying he's going to need a lot of logistics. He can't pull this off. There's no possible way he can pull off arresting millions of people. Okay, there are 11 million illegal people in the U.S. at the moment. 180,000 or so of them with criminal records, violent offenses, criminal records. Over 700,000 are illegal children. And these 700,000 should still be protected under the DREAM Act or DACA. We're not too sure about how that is going. That'll be worked out in the court of law. But let's not forget, Donald Trump did not waste any time when he got into office. So for us to sit back and argue his logistics and to think that it's not possible, I've seen many things become possible in his administration, under his administration, that people said, that's not going to fly past Congress, that's not going to happen, the Democrats will never allow it. And I've seen it happen. Okay? So, one of the first things that he did was he tripled the ICE enforcement agency numbers. And people are saying, well, I didn't see them yet. Yes, because they had to be recruited. They had to be vetted. They had to go to school. They had to be properly trained. And a few days ago, it seems like all this has come to fruition, and now he is ready to send them out to work. 5,000 new border patrols and 10,000 new ICE agents have been hired. So, if you're wondering, oh, where's he going to get the manpower from? He has the manpower now. Okay? Again, if you have paperwork in the process and you have, and please remember that they also made it law that they no longer had to notify you that your paperwork did not go through. and you needed to resubmit or submit some more evidence or come in for another interview. So for instance, if you have paperwork in the works and you're sitting and you're waiting for a decision, that decision to deport you could have been made without you knowing. Okay, and they by law are not required, no longer required to tell you, hey, you have been denied, and they'll just put you in deportation proceedings. And of course, when ICE goes out to do their mass sweep, very likely you will be caught, especially if they have a address for you. Before I read this, I'll say this. People are waiting for Donald Trump to get out of office. People are praying that he'll get out of office, he won't get a second term and all this other stuff. One thing I know for sure is, if he is not successful at detaining and deporting millions and millions, his 11 million as he wants to do, he will definitely be successful at having millions and millions on the run. Because I know a lot of people aren't going to just sit at the address they've given and wait to be picked up by ICE. Okay? They're going to go on the run. They're going to be running all over the country, which they've always done since the beginning of time. Now, listen. Here's the real story now. It goes like this. President Trump said in a tweet Monday night that U.S. immigration agents are planning to make mass arrests starting next week. An apparent reference to a plan in preparation for months that aimed to round up thousands of immigrant parents and children in a blitz operation across major U.S. cities. This is why I think the whole driver's license in New York thing was a catch, okay? Because people started saying, yes, I can get a legal driver's license, which means I'll now have government legal ID, which then you can do other things with, which you couldn't do as an undocumented immigrant. But that also means that when ICE starts their blitz roundup, they have an address of where to find you. Next week, ICE will begin the process of removing, this is what he said. The president said this on Monday. Today is Wednesday. He said on Monday, next week ICE will begin the process of removing the millions of illegal aliens who have illicitly found their way into the United States. Trump wrote, referring to U.S. immigration and customs enforcement. They will be removed as fast as they came in. Large-scale ICE enforcement operations are typically kept secret to avoid tipping off targets. But not secret with Donald. So in 2018, Trump and other senior officials threatened the mayor of Oakland, California with criminal prosecution for alerting city residents that immigration raids were in the works. And this Monday, he just alerted the whole nation that the raids are in the works and will start next week. Isn't that funny? So, Trump and his senior immigration advisor, Steph Miller, have been prodding Homeland Security officials to arrest and remove thousands of family members whose deportation orders were expedited by the Justice Department this year as part of a plan known as the Rocket Docket. I don't know if you know about the Rocket Docket, but it is basically expedited final decision for deportation orders. And like I said before, they planned this to the T because they made sure that USCIS no longer had to legally, by law, they were required to do this before, to notify you of their decision. But what would happen is they would notify people and then people would go on the run. Oh, I've been rejected. I'm in California. I'm moving to Miami. And they would disappear. And they would still be in the U.S. So he went ahead and made it perfectly legal for them to not notify those people who do have paperwork in the works. and are sitting home waiting on a decision. And someone said to me, Soflo, look, you cannot be removed, and it takes years. I even heard the immigration attorney said it this morning when I was listening to her. She said it usually takes months, weeks, years sometimes to remove someone from the US. Well, under this administration, having changed so many things, including the right for them to not notify you that your status has changed and you are in deportation proceedings, you can very well be swept up when ICE comes out stomping boots on the ground. Okay? So the rocket docket is in full effect. There are many people sitting out there right now with a deportation order that have no idea that they are on the list to be deported. And when they get that boom, boom, boom knock on the door is when they will know that they are a part of that. When they get picked up from work, when they get picked up from dropping the kids off to school, when they get trailed to the grocery store and picked up in the parking lot, loading the groceries into the back of the car, is when they will know that they are a part of this. And these people are sitting around right now thinking, oh, I'm working with an attorney, my paperwork is going through, and all this other stuff. It's just taking a while, I'm listening to my attorney. And you could be very well swept up in this starting next week. In April, Acting ICE Director Ronald Vitello and Homeland Security Secretary Nielsen were ousted after they hesitated to go forward with the plan, expressing concerns about its preparation, its effectiveness, and the risk of public outrage from images of migrant children being taken into custody or separated from their families. So within the Trump's administration, there was a rift because some people were saying, look, we have some concerns about the preparation and the effectiveness of this plan to round up hundreds of thousands and millions, right? And this is where I said people are saying he's going to need well-coordinated efforts to make this happen. Where's he going to put all these people? I'm thinking they're going to be rapidly deployed so he won't have to worry about a place to put them. And not to mention, there are many of those FEMA camps that are still around, which could very well be used for temporary makeshift shelter or processing stations, processing people out of the country. I'm just saying. So their main concern was also how the media would view migrant children being taken into custody or separated from their families as they're pulling mommy and daddy this way and pulling the children that way. That's not going to look good. Well, they didn't want to go along with his plan, and he cares zero about what that looks like. So he ousted them and placed new people in their position. Vitello was replaced at ICE by former FBI and Border Patrol official Mark Morgan, who had impressed the president with statements on cable television in favor of harsh immigration enforcement measures. In his first 2 weeks on the job at ICE, Morgan has said publicly that he plans to beef up interior enforcement and go after families with deportation orders, insisting that the ruling must be carried out to uphold the integrity of the country's legal system. What that means is there were people on the ground that had deportation orders, but under, say, the Obama administration, these people were taken into special consideration. For instance, if you were a dad and you had gotten a deportation order, but proof of record is that you have been here for the last 10, 15 years, you worked a steady job, you've been at the same company for the last 10 years, or you are the breadwinner, the main provider for a family of 5, and now you've come down with deportation orders. Usually they would give you a way to appeal this, which would extend your process, which is what the attorney was saying, that deporting someone could usually take years. And based on this, going back and forth to court, paying court fees, waiting on dates, and your time to come around again, many people have been able to string it along for years. Under Trump's administration, they are planning to go after these people with the deportation order, regardless if your paperwork is in the process of appeal or not. Once that deportation order was ever given, they plan to remove you and have you stay in the country that you were born in or came here from until the rest is worked out. And of course, a lot of people are saying, hell, that's no good choice, because once they deport you, they'll probably just forget about you, and you will have a slim chance of making it back into the country. He also said that our next challenge is going to be interior enforcement. Morgan told reporters on June 4th in Washington he will be going after individuals who have gone through due process and who have received the final orders of deportation. And like that lawyer was saying, which I was listening to this morning, just to clarify some of this stuff, a very reputable attorney from New York City, she said this, that they're talking about the rounding up starting next week and deporting of people is more than likely for people whose deportation orders, final deportation orders, have already been approved. But in the process, please remember that if you are here legally, if you are here illegally, then you too could be swept up in the process. Even if you're working with an attorney, you have paperwork on your behalf submitted and you're waiting results. Because remember, like I said, they made it perfectly legal to not notify you anymore if you had gone into a deportation process, right? So that includes families, he said. We will be going after individuals who have gone through due process and who have received the final orders of deportation. So they fought their case for however long and it just didn't work out for them. They did get a deportation notice. A lot of them have not even been notified. That will include families, he said, adding that ICE agents will treat the parents and the children they arrest with compassion and humanity. Oh man, I urge you to not think that I'm being insensitive at laughing. I am being rather cynical. Okay, so U.S. officials with knowledge of the preparation have said in recent days that the operation was not imminent. And ICE officials said late Monday night that they were not aware that the president planned to divulge their enforcement plans on Twitter, because usually this type of stuff is kept secret until boots hit the ground. I guess he wants to strike fear into a lot of people and get people moving around, running right now. I don't know. Executing a large-scale operation of this type under discussion requires hundreds and perhaps thousands of U.S. agents and supporting law enforcement personnel, as well as weeks of intelligence gathering and planning to verify addresses and locations of individuals that have been targeted for arrest. The president claimed that ICE would be deporting millions. Also was at odds with the reality of the agency's staffing and budgetary challenges. ICE arrests in the U.S. interior have been declining in recent months because so many agents are busy managing the record surge of migrant families across the southern border with Mexico. But I told you, he has ramped up the numbers. They have hired an extra 10,000 agents, and these agents were in training, getting ready to get to the front lines, boots on the grounds, and I think they are officially ready. That is why it has emboldened him to come out and give up all that information about raids that are supposed to start next week. So they have a family arrest plan. Can you believe that? The family arrest plan has been considered even more sensitive than a typical operation because children are involved, and Homeland Security officials retain significant concerns that families will be inadvertently separated by the operation. No doubt. Especially because parents in some households have deportation orders, but their children, some of whom are U.S. citizens, might not. And why would U.S. citizens have deportation orders? So that's going to be very complicated to go in there and rip daddy out of the family or mommy out of the family because there's a deportation order for her, but you can't deport the children because the children were born in the United States of America and therefore are United born citizens. So this is going to be very interesting. Are they going to take these children and put them in foster homes, in juvenile centers? I have no idea. We await to see. We saw what happened before and it did not look good. But let's see what plans they have now. I think they claim to have gone back to the drawing board and they have a better plan now. Should adults be arrested without their children because they are at school, daycare, summer camp, or a friend's house? It is possible parents could be deported while their children are left behind, is what they are saying. Wow. So children are going to be going off to school in the morning, being dropped off at daycare, and then that'll be the last time they'll see that parent. Let that sink in. And I know a lot of people are saying, look, I don't care. They came here illegally. They put their family in jeopardy, their children. They know the laws, so suffer the consequences. And guess what? Some people are just that cold, and it is going to be going down just like that. So, supporters of the plan, including Miller, Morgan, and ICE Deputy Director Matthew Albence, have argued forcefully that a dramatic and highly publicized operation of this type will send a message to families that are in defiance of deportation orders and could act as a deterrent. According to DHS officials, nearly all unauthorized immigrants who came to the United States in 2017 in family groups remain present in the U.S. Some of those families are waiting adjudication of asylum claims, but administration officials say a growing number of skipping out on court hearings while hoping to live and work in the United States as long as possible. And just like I said, they've been skipping out on court hearings and they've been going on the run simply because a lot of people have been going to these court hearings and have been detained at these court hearings. People are taking their chances. So the president telling us that there's this mass roundup coming starting next week. All that's going to do is make a lot more people go on the run again. This picture you're looking at right here is a group of Haitians heading to Canada. And they're heading to Canada, cross the border, and Canada is letting them in, where Canada has more lenient immigration laws than the US. So, publicizing a future law enforcement operation is unheard of at ICE. Trump administration officials blasted Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf last year for warning immigrants. We talked about that earlier, and then the president did it recently. The Oakland mayor's decision to publicize her suspicions about ICE operation further increased that risk for my officers, and it alerted criminal aliens, making clear that this reckless decision was based on her political agenda with the very federal laws that ICE is sworn to uphold. Then, ICE Deputy Director Thomas Homan said at that time. I wonder what Homan is saying now that President Trump has done exactly the same. Homan later retired, but last week, Trump said Homan would return to public service as his border czar on Fox News. Homan later called that announcement kind of premature and said that he had not decided whether he wanted to accept the job or not. A whole lot of haberdashery stuff going on here. Schaaf responded late Monday to the president's tweet, teasing the looming ICE roundups. If you continue to threaten, target, and terrorize families in my community, and if we receive credible information, You already know what our values are in Oakland, and we will unapologetically stand up for those values, she wrote. In other words, she will definitely be helping. This is the mayor. She will definitely be putting out information as it comes by her, making people aware that they're coming for you. Keep your families together. And of course, they have groups out there, a lot of church groups and all this, that does help people go into hiding in order to keep their families together. Now, this is a government official that is opposing what the president is saying. Now, what I'm saying here is this. Is it legal? It's legal what the president is doing. Is it legal for these government officials to oppose in this manner? No, it's not. But they're putting their credentials on the line to save the people of their city as how they see it. Now, I'm going to say this. This is not the time to sit around and keep on saying prayers are going to fix everything. This is going to work out just fine for me. He's only talking. Nothing is going to be done. We've seen now many times where people have said over the years, he's only talking. That's not going to happen. It cannot happen. And it happened. And it continues to happen. And Donald Trump continues to forge his way forward with his plan. And he continues to make leeway. And for those who are saying they're just going to go into hiding and wait until he is out of office, you're probably going to be hiding a very long time. This is a stretch, but I am willing to bet that he is, I don't want to say it, but I think he is going to be a 2-term president, which means you will be having to deal with this for another 4 years. Okay? Leave your comments in the comment section and tell me what you think about this one. Do you have family members that are going to be caught up in this? How will they be affected? What do you think about the families, like the children that are going to be coming home from school only to find out their parents are no longer here? And how do you think all that is going to be dealt with on this side of the map, as well as on the other side wherever they're sending these parents? Because certainly, if parents are gone, children are left here. We've seen cases where those parents were deported and those parents opted to have their children stay in foster homes in the United States of America. And we're saying, wow, you know what happened to a lot of kids in foster homes? They're molested, they're abused, they're kicked out to the streets, whatever. And these parents are saying, yeah, it's better for them there than it is for where we have been sent back to, from where we have been trying to run from in the first place. So we'll take our chances. It's sad. It hurts us. We won't be seeing our children for a very long time. Maybe when they're old enough to travel on their own, they'll come visit us in our country. But we're not bringing them back here. We're giving them a better chance. Now, you must be in some desperate situation back in your country to give your child up and walk away. This child old enough to know that you are mom and dad, right? So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out and how it plays out on the world stage as the world looks at America and look at families being ripped apart. Are we going to be called the inhumane monsters, or is the world going to say, well, hey, we don't want strangers in our house either, so we agree with America? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Let's have a discussion about this one. It's SoFlo TV. I'm out. Peace.